JT, my man, what's going on?
What's up, DA?
Excited to get this thing going. Guess we can just start here. Welcome to the intro pod, JT. What's going on?
This is cracking, man. I got everything ready. I got my 2 coffees. I think I want to be called Coach JT eventually someday, just because I'm sitting here watching film, drinking coffee. But I'm super excited. I'm stoked. And I know we've been talking about this since we met, literally like the first day, some shit like that. I think we're going to swear in the pod. That's fine. But yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah, me too. I remember just going back to the days at Beloit in the dorm, just sitting there. Conversations after practice, just talking ball all night. And I think this was bound to happen. We had to do it.
It was. I think we love basketball more than your average show. And we love talking hoops. And we also, I think the greatest thing about us is we love learning. That is our favorite thing, learning hoops, learning people's stories. And I think that's where we should start. Dylan, why do we want to do this pod? What's this for? What are we trying to do here?
So I guess basically, being former D3 athletes, me and you, I guess trying to give sort of a blueprint of what we kind of got out of that experience. And for me personally, coming from California, where you don't see too many Division III, Division II schools, the recruiting process could be difficult. So I just kind of hope through this we can kind of give people an opportunity to see what it's like and just the bits and pieces of how we got to where we are today and the work that went into it and just all that. So
yeah, you're completely. I remember when we committed to Beloit, I remember Googling. I'm like, what is this like? I remember looking for a dorm room. I remember thinking in middle school, even going farther back, what's recruiting like? What are the techs like? What are the camps like? What is the process of becoming great like? And I don't think there was a blueprint. I don't think there was a podcast out there. I don't think there is a podcast out there like us. I think they can try, but they don't understand what we put into it and how much we love the game, and then just to try and explain to the kids, that's hilarious now that they're younger than us, what this is like and what you're going to see. I think a lot of the times we talked about, we both thought we were going to start coming into college, and it was damn, if you're even the low-level D3, which we were kind of mid-level, they still can freaking hoop, dude. You know what I'm saying?
I know. We just didn't appreciate the fact that these guys are the best of the best. You go to any high school and you're picking the top dudes and just putting them on one team, quote unquote, kind of forming a super team, I guess you can say. But it's crazy how it all works out. And I think just kind of giving people an idea of that skill level gap, I feel like at the Division III level, it doesn't get the respect that it kind of deserves. So I hope through this podcast we can kind of show that all levels, even though Division I, Division II, or Division III, at the end of the day, it's college basketball. So
I think that's a great point. People don't realize how crazy D3 basketball is and the dudes who can hoop, because D3 gets a lot of those D1 transfers who come down and just start kicking butt. And there are just some guys, I remember our first time we played Sean Espinoza. I think he was first team all-conference Midwest. I don't think he got any accolades, but that dude was just a freaking hooper. You see him at the park and you'd be like, damn, that guy's good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think people think it's these guys can't hoop, it's lower level, but man, like you said, they might not be the biggest of guys or the most athletically gifted, but they got the skill and they got the ability to compete, I think, at any level. So I think we'll definitely be able to touch more on that through the people we interview and just again through our personal experiences. So I'm kind of excited to get into that for sure too.
I remember Coach Hins, our former coach, saying it best, man. D3 basketball is not for everybody, baby. It's a grind, and that's why we call it the D3 grind, because we want to showcase what it is and how hard it is to play.
Exactly. So if you could just kind of touch on your, I guess, high school experience and kind of how you got to, where you are today, I guess you can say.
That's tough, man. I appreciate the question. I'm going to ask you the same one. Went to most high school, small high school in Wisconsin. Try to make it quick. One of the better coaches in the state, Steve Hicklin. And, I know I wasn't going to go D1. My dream when I was growing up was to play varsity basketball for Lake Mills, and I did it. 850 career points, all-time win leader in school history. I can hoop a little bit. I'm not great, but I'm more of this. I've been watching basketball since I was a kid. Little dog, I chirp a little bit. But that process for me was terrifying because I didn't know what it was going to be like. Because if you're a high-level guy, you start getting recruited freshman year, sophomore year. And I don't think I received interest or any texts till late junior year. And then you get those texts. My top 3 were Loris, MATC, and Beloit. I wanted to go to Platteville, which is a WEX school, but they sent me a letter and it said, "Dear TJ," I'm JT, so I was like, fuck that, I'm not going there. But blessed to be at a great high school program, going to Beloit College. Thought I was going to start. I hooped for a little bit. We were both on like the 3 teams. I worked my way up to the top team. I think I would have gotten a rotation had we had another month of practice. COVID hit. I fractured my back surgery out. Now I'm in the coaching game. But very blessed. Went to state my sophomore year, played at the Cole Center. Like, just very blessed with my basketball career. Know a lot about the game. Know a lot about Marquette basketball, talking X's and O's. And now getting into coaching, Dale. It's great. What's your experience like, though? What was your recruiting?
Very similar to yours, kind of. Again, you can't. But I'm a 5'8", 140-pound guard soaking wet. So it's again.
We're not going nowhere.
Not going anywhere big, but similar to you. When I was like younger, obviously, like middle school, elementary, you all had that dream of playing at the next level, whether it's overseas, Division I. But then you again go into that high school level and you kind of figure out where you lie and where you kind of stack up. And like you said, going into my freshman and sophomore year, no offers, played JV. Senior year and junior year, similar thing. You kind of just go throughout the season kind of just working every day and just trying to be able to sort of see where you fall. And going into my senior year, all I really had were local JUCO offers, Skyline College, Kenyatta College. So I didn't, again, really have any of the quote-unquote major offers or anything like that. So you kind of just continue to work and kind of see where you fall. So at the end of my senior year, I through a website called NCSA, which is like a recruiting website, I was able to curate my film and kind of create something to at least show coaches that I am able to play at the next level, whether it is, again, Division I, Division II, or Division III. And again, I only ended up with 3 offers, Wisconsin being one of them, Beloit College specifically, and then the other ones, random. Minnesota, couldn't even tell you the name of the school anymore, and then one was in the state of Iowa. So again, being from California and having these high expectations of hopefully going somewhere big, there's California, I think, being from NorCal, only SoCal has Division III schools, and even those schools are starting 6 foot. Your bigs are 6'11", so it's like it's hard. So it definitely was a reality check going to Beloit, and again, like you said, thinking I was going to be a starter off the bat, but we'll again be able to touch on that as we go on more. But it was a reality shock for sure. But again, I've learned so much being able to play there in my short time, and like you said, COVID kind of changed things. So I'm at ASU now, hopefully pursuing a career in sports journalism. So.
Yes, sir. I like the different perspective we have. Me being a small-town Wisconsin kid, you being a big-time Cali guy. Like, I think, and not to I was on the top 50 list in Wisconsin, like, once my sophomore year, but I still thought I was top stuff going into my senior year. Like, I thought people knew who I was because some of the camps people knew who I was. But realizing that, not that you're a nobody, but you're not as big as you think you are, and how, like D3 college is so, like, big-time, like, learning about like Oshkosh, or like the WEAC schools, Platteville, and those guys who go on to win like national championships or All-Americans, and how you don't even know their names. So I'm not even an All-American. I'm not All-Conference. How am I big time? And they're like not even big time being there. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of crazy stuff like that, and just how diverse and how interesting basketball is.
Just the different places it can take you too. Like I never would have expected myself to be in the state of Wisconsin. But hey, we got to meet you. Got to start this pod. So again, like I keep saying, I'm just excited to get this thing.
I'm excited to talk about, dude. I think it's crazy. We look back on it a little bit and we talk about our freshman year of college and how amazing that was. Even riding the bench, but just like lifting every day, being with the team, going like traveling on the bus. Like as much as it sucked, it was really fun, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a great experience.
It's cheesy to say, but the brotherhood you're able to create with your teammates, and just through sitting through those 6-7 hour bus rides, eating whatever Pizza Hut pizza, Jimmy John sandwiches, having that thing provided to you. World class stuff.
It was world class stuff. When you play cards, or we used to play the iPhone game. Guess whose picture that was from the camera roll?
Yeah.
And just those memories and being a part of a team, even though because people say you're paying to play, you're not paying to play. Like you're really getting a lot of stuff that you didn't even know about with the food and with the travel and with being even on the team and going to places and seeing things and just like the trips you get to take, and there's so many great things that come out of D3 basketball. And so many people are like, you can't learn anything from a Division III person. That's bullshit. There are so many D3 players who totally could have played at that higher level, just never got the shot because of what they were, or just simply just didn't want to stay close to home. And just the disrespect to D3 is just awful, in my opinion.
Awful. And again, that's why I think we started this. It's like people really just need to be able to appreciate like skill is skill. Like these guys, I think they get stuck in like, oh, D1 people are at the D1 level because they work harder, and I don't think that's always the case. So again, we'll be able to touch on that more, but these athletes definitely do deserve the respect. And even just seeing it from the bench, I wasn't one who got a lot of minutes, obviously, at Beloit College. And just being able to see the game from the bench and just being able to see the different skill level in comparison from high school to college, it's just it's huge, the difference.
So, yeah, we're no Skip Baylesses. We're not going to claim we were great. We're just basketball minds, guys who love thinking the game. Like, we just love talking X's and O's. We get both point guards, but just the speed, even from a high-level high school where I was playing, a high level, yeah, I'd call it that, to going to D3 and then just seeing, like, the speed and feeling it. And even getting, like I'm going to call it bitch minutes at the end of the game, like, you can just feel the different energy. And I couldn't even imagine, like, we always talked about this from D3 to high D3 to low D2 to high D2 to low D1 to high D1. And just how different the game is. Like, basketball is so fast, and it's so much fun to play. And I think that's what makes this great, and I think that's what makes D3 great. You might play Grinnell, who just shot all threes on one night, and the next night you might go up to Northland College, just going to run the swing or something like that, and just grind you to death. And it's just so cool to see what D3 basketball can be and what basketball in general can be.
Exactly. And for viewers who obviously don't know the D3 level, Grinnell, just attempted 114 threes in a game with field goal from two.
Beloit College just beat him. There's some bums, man. There's some bums.
We'll touch on them, hopefully maybe get a guess from there, but those guys, they play different. The style of game is subbing every 45 seconds. We'll obviously touch on that one. Hopefully we get a guess from there. But
I got a friend who can come on. I got a friend, man. We can get the inside scoop.
We'll get that going for sure. So you were kind of touching on, obviously, the different levels of speed and stuff. So for you, when did you not realize, I guess, going to Beloit and playing at that level wouldn't be as much of a cakewalk as you thought it was?
This is crazy. This is because we had so many guys. I remember our first 5-on-5. I didn't know it was all freshmen, so it took me a second to adjust to playing with different guys because we had a couple JUCOs come in. Kenny from Australia, and I remember thinking you were a senior with your tattoos. Dylan's got a tattoo sleeve, and then by the end of the day, right there, he's flexing it. But then by the end of the week, I thought I was one of the best players. I'm like, yes, I climbed the totem pole. I'm gonna get minutes. And then the returners start coming in, and we had a couple guys who didn't take open gym seriously. But I think the speed on defense is what really killed me because I pride myself with just seeing the rotations and then trying to figure that out. I can still remember, we had Tristan Shoup, all conference guy, just getting hit by a screen because you don't know what's coming by him was just insane. And just the level of talk you need to have at a minimum for D3 basketball was so intense. I think I've never grinded out practices more in my life. As a physical toll on my body, it was holy crap. We're ice bathing after every practice. And it's not because we're not in shape. I think I got in my best shape. I had thumb surgery after my senior year, and I just started grinding. But it was the speed was just different. On offense, I think people overestimate that. I think if you're a shooter, you kind of fit in, figure it out, you know the game well. But on defense, that's where boys become men. That was intense. What about for you? What was your first not going to play right away?
Similar to what you said, going into that first open gym, you even experienced it when it was just us freshmen. You think it's going to be a cakewalk, but you don't realize, personally, I didn't realize these are the best dudes from your high school. Everyone who's at this school is an all-conference player in their league, whether they're at the highest level or the lowest level. They're all conference dudes no matter what. So it's just being able to kind of figure that out. I didn't even think of it initially, but going into it, I think, like you said, the first open gym, the speed of the game is a lot different. And I've never been one who was a quote-unquote, I guess you can say, shooter. So it was a little difficult to figure out. Obviously, the lines push back a little. So just being able to kind of understand the game, I feel my understanding, I was our high school program was a lot more up and down running the breaks. So in the moments where the game started to slow down, I started to kind of struggle a lot. Just being able to make the right read off of like screen and rolls and stuff.
We've kind of touched on it, but I don't think I was prepared mentally for what the Division III grind was like. Like there's like an on and off the court thing with classes, and then but like I remember Polo in that first open gym. Like I'll remember this till the day I die. He hit the shot in the corner, hit the backboard. But his next 3 shots were just up and in the rim. Like guys who just literally just are built different are playing, and they don't like get the respect they deserve. And just to be mentally prepped for that, mentally prepped to be broken down. Like this is your weaknesses, this is what you're bad at. We're gonna exploit you and we're gonna kill you. And just being mentally tough enough to do that. I think the teams that succeed in D3 are comfortable with their mental health and their mental capacity to understand things, and they do things the right way. Because, dude, everyone has that moment where they want to transfer, but I was like, I just don't think I'm fit for the D3 game. If it wasn't for Coach Bloom, I wouldn't have stuck it out. God bless that guy, because every day you get in the gym, you go shoot, you go talk hoops, and you get it. But it's a different level of basketball for sure.
Yeah, like you were saying, that mental aspect is a lot due so to that just the rigorous schedule. You go to class, 3-4 hours a day, and you somehow got to find time to get your lifts in. Find time to get on the shooting machine, skill work, all that stuff. So it's definitely, like you said, the great teams have just great mental. They're always locked in. They're able to get through every day. And I think we'll touch on it more, but the best way you can do it, which I didn't do like early on, and I feel like that's why I like struggled, is just approaching each day like day by day. Don't look too far ahead. Don't look at the day before. Like just focusing on the moment. And I think, like you said, that's the only way that's really going to get you through, because if you don't focus on the moment and you worry about how you did last practice, I think just being able to somehow stay level-headed, you don't want to ever get too high or get too low, because the moment you do that, your confidence is either going to be out the roof and you can be hooping, but the moment it deteriorates, it's like, what now? You see your minutes trindle down, and it's just... So we'll be able to touch on that more, but it's a lot. And again, like we're trying to tell people, and like the whole point of this podcast is be able to let people know that even though there are levels to this, the work doesn't change no matter what.
There are so many things I want to say that you just said were awesome. I think one of them was that you're like mental, like they're the day before, the day after. And I think I haven't learned now until I was, when am I, 22? As a shooter, just fuck it, just shoot it. Like it doesn't, like the make or miss doesn't matter. The fact that I'm shooting it and that I trust my shot is so much more important. I think I learned that my probably freshman year of college late though. In high school, if I had a bad day of practice, I had a bad night. I had a bad week. That shit got to me. Now I just shoot it. If I miss, who cares? Like it was just learning just to live with the result. In high school, Coach Hicklin, my high school coach, greatest guy ever, he said it all the time, give your best and live with it. And I didn't live with it. I let that shit stick with me. But the moment you learn to live with it and you learn to get better, it just makes life so much easier. And I think we had a little different experience our freshman year. I think because I got bumped up a little bit, not flexing, but I think it was due to the part, getting your body on a schedule and figuring out like when to lift and when to shoot. I know every Sunday night, Polo and I would go to the gym, we get like 500 shots up, and like every day at 2. Polo and I, or you and I would go shoot free throws, 100 free throws, but just making sure my body was constantly in motion was just so important. And then we had the right guys. We had a lot of guys who wanted to grind. Like, I hope my guy Nas watches, because that guy worked his tail off, man. He left, but he pushed me to be great. There were so many guys we had in that freshman class who were trying to be great, and I just, I appreciate them a lot because they got me to a mindset where I had to be. Like, there were days in practice where you don't want to practice, but these guys are like, I'm coming to take your spot. I'm coming to take your minutes. And that's the thing in D3 you don't realize. It's cutthroat. If you start messing up, if you start missing shots, they have 2 of you to replace you, and it's crazy.
And it's crazy, too, like you were talking about the different squads we had. What was it? Blue and, like, gray or something?
Blue, gray, and then, like, white. We had a white squad, yeah.
So, no, yeah, like you were saying, you can be on, top gray squad one day, and the next practice, right
You're
on
done.
The blue squad, the white squad. So it's like, just like you said, just being able to somehow stay level-headed through it all is the biggest thing. And again, kind of to touch on the biggest difference I noticed, and you were talking about how we help each other and push each other to like get better and stuff, was I'd be shooting with you and Polo, and like I was telling you, I'm not the greatest shooter of all time. But just seeing the amount of shots you guys were able to make and just being in there with you guys every day, I'm like, dude, I got to start making this amount of shots. And if I don't, I just got to work harder, I guess. But just
that motherfucker would do 16.5. Remember 16.5? Kids, if you're in middle school or high school watching this, go do 16.5. You got to make 16 shots before you miss fives. That shit was hard. Oh my god.
This guy, we'll get him on the pod for sure.
We gotta get him on.
Best I've ever seen in person.
That guy was insane. That guy was intense.
We'll get him on for sure, but he was definitely different.
Yes, he was definitely different. And that's the thing is, like, there are guys in D3 who are just different at one thing. Like, I remember playing IC, and I think Maz Remus is still there, and you could just tell that dude was different. Or, like, Trey Rogers was just a bowling ball. It was like, fuck, these guys are the worst team in our conference, and they're still, like, you can just tell. They go to the park, and they run that stuff, man. Those guys are fun to watch. And, like, another thing, getting way off topic, but the gyms you get to go to. Like, Dylan, you're from Cali. You're in Grinnell, Iowa, playing in this glass gym. It's coming through. We're in IC, and the place is just huge. Or even going up to Ripon, and the facilities are insane. Or St. Norbert's, where the rims feel a little too stiff. It was just – there's so many great things that come out of playing D3 basketball.
Oh, so many. And the experiences, like you said, it's just being able to experience that. Even for me, being from the bench and just sitting and watching that front row, like, you really just get a better understanding of the game. And it's just, it blew my mind just kind of being able to witness that. And like you said, being from California, I would have never saw myself going to a school like this. So just being able to experience all that was definitely something I'll never take for granted. And I think it's taught me so much more about the game than I ever would have ever like expected. So,
because like if you meet us on the street, we're like, that sucked. But deep down, it was some of like the best experiences of our life. Being able to play and just hoop and get in the gym. God, man, what I wouldn't give to have that freshman year or sophomore year back. And then COVID changed everything. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
now we just sound
sure.
like
and the work.
My bad.
And when you're working with your buddies, like we were able to get in the gym whenever we wanted, it starts to become fun. Like the grind becomes fun. And I don't think you're ever going to get any better if you don't allow it to become fun.
Oh, so. Dude, we were lifting on game days. Remember Coach Danny Morris asking us, what's going on? And we were like, we got to get better, Coach. We want to play. Remember, that's where I hit my bench PR, my squat PR. It was just freaking out in that weight room, man. Even like, and think about that. There are guys who put in countless hours and never see the floor. And just how hard you have to work to really get it and how far your game has to evolve to even sniff the Florida Division III level is crazy.
And like we were saying, we never would have expected it to be that difficult, which is also why we're starting this podcast, because it's difficult, man. It was fun, don't get me wrong, but the grind is different. If you make the grind fun, it's not as difficult as it may seem to be, but it's hard.
It pays off. It's a lifelong experiences, and like I'm coaching now. I'm an assistant at a high school. Our head coach played over at Oshkosh, and just talking about how many friends you get from it. Like, not even on your team, but the other team, and just the stuff you talk about, and, like, the memories that you have. Like, I still remember my first college bucket, and, like, we lost, but everybody came in the locker room and came and, like, and it was like, damn, man, I'm just a lowly freshman who's just trying to work his way up, but it meant a lot to the squad. Like, I remember Andrew Walters coming over and hugging me, and Dan Babb giving me a pat on the back, and it was cool. It was, like, that was a cool experience. And, like, I could text those guys. Probably Dan right now. I'm like, what's up, Dan? As he's playing pro ball. We should get him on the pod too, but just like the great experiences you get.
Oh, yeah, you can't take it for granted.
No,
like you were saying.
Not at all. Dylan, curveball, would you do anything differently? You're back in high school. Are you doing anything differently?
I think we've talked about it. Like we said, we'll touch on it more as we get deeper into our podcast, but the experience was a lot. It's a lot of ups and downs. You don't see the floor as much as you think you should. But to me, I wouldn't change a single thing about it. I think even though I maybe didn't get what I wanted out of it basketball-wise, the friendships I was able to like create and just the memories through the work I put in and the amount of time and the countless hours I'd put in watching film or even just watching NBA games and just being able to like kind of understand it through a different like a lens or a different perspective, I guess you can say, just through like the different things I learned from playing and just kind of learning the speed of the game a lot more. I don't think I'd change a single thing. Again, like we said, the friendships we created are like much more greater than the game. So,
and that sounds so cool. That sounds so corny to say, but if you're gonna play D3 basketball, you gotta love it. Like, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. I think my life up to college was a dream. You know, going to state, being all conference. You know, making the I was WBCA All Star, top 20 player in like my division, Division 3, which is like middle, not the biggest school, like Division 1, 2, and 3, but everything was kind of not handed to me, but I worked for it. And I was like, oh, college is gonna be the same way. I'm gonna work hard, and we're gonna get there. And it's just not that simple sometimes. You have to love the game. You have to put in even more hours than you thought possible. Like, people talk about student athletes, like being a student is huge, it's an important part. We had study hours, but actually knowing the game and knowing what's coming and thinking through it is just a completely different beast and animal. You become almost, it's not a student of the game, but a disciple of basketball if you learn to play it the right way for the love in the college basketball atmosphere. God, I'm still thinking about icing ball screens at St. Norbert's, or I'm thinking about when Knox College working on their dribble drive, and just like that's like 2 years of my life, but it's just ingrained in me, and just how much stuff just like from basketball you grow into as an adult and as a person.
And I think it'll always be ingrained in you for.
Oh,
It's like you want to be a coach eventually. Like the things I've learned there too, it's stuff I'll never take for granted, even not just on the court but off the court as well. Like it really just taught me how to work, and it's like you said, you really got to be prepared to go to that level and play at that level, because it's no joke. It's not. You're not just gonna get stuff handed to you. And like you were saying, I went to a high school, 1,300 people,
mm-hmm.
same size as Beloit College. You go to a basketball game, you're not getting more than, what was our record attendance? Like 300, 400 people?
That's wild.
If
That is wild. Yeah.
if and I'd have my high school games on Fridays, every Friday, and we'd have at least 1,000 people. So, like you said, being able to play at the Division 3 level is a blessing, but at the same time, you got to be prepared, and you really got to love it to be able to do it.
And even like if you're playing for the fans, if you're playing for the hoop mixtapes, in my opinion, you're playing for the wrong reason. If you're playing D3 you're playing for the love. Like, you're gonna get some fans and people there, but you get to play. If you go far and win games, you get to play in the cool gyms. You get to play in historic places. I think one of my biggest regrets is we never got to play at Hope College. That gym is awesome. That is one of, I hope to coach there someday. But just, you have to do things the right way. And I think part of our problem at Beloit is we didn't do things the right way at certain times. And it's hard when you get in college the first time. You have all this freedom. And it, honestly, Division III basketball kind of separates the men's from the boys. I have friend who went D2, could not find his way in a roster and transferred down to D3, and now he's playing right away. And I don't think it's because he's better than the guys he's currently on the team with. I think it's because that D2 experience also taught him how to grind, and that's why he's playing even at a higher pace, because his college did things the right way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's like we were saying, it's hard. It's hard to find that perfect balance where, especially if you're not seeing time on the floor, you kind of question, why am I continuing to work like that?
Oh my God.
And I think what we kind of did well, not to like hype ourselves up, is we were able to somehow, even if we weren't seeing the floor at all, we were able to continue to work. And I think those lessons and being able to kind of work when you weren't having things handed to you, when things weren't going your way, I think that's just going to take you way farther in life than obviously this game ever will. So I think, like you keep saying, and like we keep repeating, the lessons you learn from this game and you take away from this game, it's really what you make it. But if you put in the work, the time and the effort into it, and you put the love you have for the sport into it, I think things will work itself out, whether it's basketball wise or life wise. It's just, things will definitely work itself out. So
you give it your best and you live with it. I've been thinking a lot about, like, this is me just being, thinking down the future, what I'm going to say to my kids in that last game after that last loss. And I thought about it for a long time. And it was like, the honest answer is, the wins and the losses are great, but the relationships you create and the work ethic that you have are what really matter, and the friends that you make along the way. Like, you can win games, but if everybody hates each other, it's not worth it. There's no sense of community. There's no sense of team. But if you do things the right way, you work the right way, you make those friends, it's more so worth it in the long end, and it's just a better overall experience. Like, I think we remember the off the court stuff more, or if even like the low moments, like when you got in at Lake Forest, and I remember they ran the zone against us, and I just remember you sitting out there, and it's like, oh, he's gonna chuck it, he's gonna chuck it, he's gonna chuck it. And some of those moments, more so than us winning games like WLC, and we poured water on Coach Hinz's head, like those little things mean a lot more than you think when you're actually in that moment. And it's easier for us to say, but we've lived through it. I'm just trying to explain it to you, what you're looking for in that Division III experience.
Exactly. And by the way, those 45 seconds I had a wide open three at the top of the key, gave it a nod. Another shout out to Nas. Hopefully we can get him on one of these days too. Or if you're watching, this is a shout out to you. But I was wide open at the top of the key, 45 seconds left. Only game I ever stepped foot on that season. Wide open. Dude turned the ball over. Good, I forgive you. I forgive you for it. I should have got the ball. I would have drained that open three. Would have been my only points for my career. But
Mass Dilla was open, man. Or
wide open.
You read the Elvis hair back at the time.
Yeah. Either that or I was bald. I don't remember what it was.
Dude, the ball look was crazy too. We're getting a little off topic. But I still go over to Polos every once in a while, and he's got those pictures of us on the bench. And there's just, like, you can just see the sense of community and the sense of team. And these are the important things. And when you're going on these recruiting visits and when you're looking for a school and when you're looking for a coach who's recruiting you, these are the things you're looking for. You're looking for a place where you can create a home, not just get better at basketball. You're looking for a place where you can further your education. Because let's be honest, like, only the top 1% of D3 guys go play pro ball. And only, like, what was that stupid fact that 0.01 people play professional sports? And it's like, that's the truth. So what are we doing here? We're looking to get better and create relationships. You want the honest to God opinion.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah. So you kind of touched on that. And again, like we've been saying, the main purpose of this podcast is sort of to touch on the whole recruiting process because, like we were saying, we didn't really have a guide to kind of figure out what we wanted to do. So I think what we'll be able to do here is kind of give us sort of a guide of what it's like. What are the positives and negatives that come out of going to a Division III school? What's the grind like? What do you have to do to get better? Just all sort of the simple things to give like sort of a high school players and even middle school players kind of an idea of what to expect because I had nothing like this. So I think it's definitely going to be helpful.
I know. And like learning about the food or learning about what coaches actually mean when they text you or when they come to your games or because we have that crazy experience of I got recruited by Coach Ferrani, and then he leaves before my freshman year. And this is one of my favorite stories to tell. I was in English class, AP English, and my teacher, very scary lady, about 6 years old, I get a phone call, and I'm like, hey, I got to take this. She's like, no, you don't. So I said, I'm sorry, I really have to. So I'm in the hallway, and I get a call, hey, I'm stepping down. I don't know what's going to go on. You're a great player. And I was just like, what am I doing with my life right now? I got a detention for it. But it was just like, knowing that and then having Coach Denny stay and just making sure you create that relationship with your recruiter. These are things down the road for sure, but just things that you look for in like the community that you're trying to build. Because we have so many stories. We're going to a campus and then seeing their food and knowing what food is good and what food is bad and going into a classroom and being like, oh, this is for me, this is not for me. I don't know about you. I took a decent amount of college visits, but just kind of knowing the ins and outs and visiting other colleges and knowing people, we can kind of tell our stories and kind of hopefully weave you in the right direction on your hoops journey.
Exactly. And like you were saying, even if you're kind of like uncertain, because if you're honestly, like, to be frank, like if you're playing, like only getting Division III offers, you balance kind of, should I play, should I not play? So we're kind of going to be able to touch on that as well, just to give you an idea of it. You feel if it's worth it, if you think you can put enough time and effort into it, because you really, if you're going to play at that level, it's important to make the most.
Yes, I think there's a lot of guys like that first year when we had like 25 guys who were just there because they wanted to play but didn't really love it, and then you kind of see them fizzle out. And there's guys who love it. And that coaches see that. And I think that separates you being on the fence. There's just so many questions like that I even still have for myself that I would love to ask my younger self is why did I do it like this? Why did you do it like this? And just that I'm really excited to explore.
Yeah, not to cut you off. And I even think one of the main reasons I committed and wanted to play college basketball, because it's cool to say.
It really is.
I'm a Division III athlete. Like, I worked my butt off, worked my tail off to get to this point. Like, I did it. And I feel like that was definitely one of my problems going into it was I just thought, I'm like, oh, I'm at this level. Like, what more do I need to do? And you step on the court and then you really realize what more you need to do.
And it's like a club too. To say that you're a Division III athlete and actually played and made it through a couple of years, like, especially at the basketball level. Like, there's other sports, and I'm not going to crap on any sports, that it's like you can just go to any school and go play. But to actually see the floor, even for like a couple seconds, means that you played, that you earned it, that you got on the floor, that you put in your time and effort since you were a little kid to play at that level.
No, yeah, exactly. And you'll be able to kind of just better understand like what it takes. Like, And again, I hope we're able to kind of help people through this, but it's a lot, man. And we're going to be able to touch on all that, and I'm super excited to give our viewers and our fans a opportunity to along this. We don't got any yet. We're going to
We're
get
gonna
some
get some.
soon,
I
but
think we're gonna throw in it. We're gonna make an email. So if you got any Division III questions, make sure we'll throw the email link in like the description. But like if you have a specific question, we would love to answer it. We'll talk about it for days. Because honestly, I feel like we're in the right spot to talk about it. We went through it. We did the recruiting stuff. We did the food. We did all the fast food. We did all the college learning. We did all the college stuff. And now it's like, hey, we got the advice. We just need the questions. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Questions and the guests for sure. And like you were saying, it's cool because me and you are obviously from different parts of
Country.
the state, and then, yeah, it's the country, and just being able to give our different perspectives of what we experienced, and we're both not hooping anymore, so kind of we're able to relate to both sides. So this is going to be a fun journey we're about to start, and I'm really excited to get going.
If you want one reason to play Division III basketball, look at us, man. You got a kid from Wisconsin talking to a kid from California. Dude, I got to see so many parts of the country I could never have saw if we weren't friends. Like, yeah, just because of Division III basketball, which is just nuts to think about.
Lifelong friendships you're creating. So
Did the wedding parties that are gonna be Johnny Boy when we see him, just getting a little off topic, but yeah,
we'll look back and be like, "Yep, we
did it.
We
We'll have a cigar, first kid.
We're able to help people out. It's
All right, Dylan.
We're good.
All right, we're getting a little long here. Let's get one last final question. What is your favorite basketball memory? I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to make sure.
no. That's a great question for
I
me.
wonder where I got.
I don't think it's playing. I think some of the greatest memories I've had were probably just being able to go watch basketball. When I was younger, middle school, elementary school, even high school, me and my dad made it a priority to go to NBA games. That's all I'd ever ask for. Any sort of Christmas gift, birthday gift, I'm like, just buy me tickets. Let's go to a game. So being from the Bay Area, I've been blessed to see a couple good Warriors teams, but big Kobe Bryant guy. Grew up the biggest Kobe Bryant guy. So I'd probably say my favorite memories were just seeing him, just seeing the amount of work he put in and being able to watch that with my dad. I remember, I think it was 2011. I forget what year. It was the lockout year.
The lockout year. Now I feel so old saying that. God damn.
Yeah. Remember going to the opening day game. It was on Christmas in LA versus Chicago. D Rose puts them up. 3 seconds left with a little floater. Kobe comes down. It's a famous photo, fadeaway photo, getting triple teamed and got his shot blocked. Obviously, Lakers lose. I ended up crying that night. But just seeing Kobe Bryant live and some of the memories I was able to create through him. And again, I was able to go every time with my dad, probably seen Kobe live like 5 or 6 times. So those are definitely my best experiences. Just being able to travel down to LA, see family, and just experience that with my dad was probably top of the list for me.
Yeah.
How about you? What would you say your
I grew
favorite memories?
up. I grew up watching a lot of Marquette basketball. I got to go to a lot of tournament games. But the one thing I want to make sure we get on this pod is Wisconsin basketball, high school basketball is legit. And my sophomore year on our road to state, it's not even being at state. Is we played at Fort Atkinson, a little small community, and they hold about 3,000 people in that gym, and it was packed. There was people outside, and we win that game. I got so many stories from that game. But when we knew we were going to win that game, me, another senior, and a junior, just like little kids on the court, just started hugging. And it's on film. We just hug and we jump in a circle just because we knew, we had a chance to go to the next level. And I can just, I can feel myself getting, jubilated right now. And just how exciting that was, not only for us as a team, but for the community. And to see the looks on their faces, I talk about going to state a lot. Logan always makes fun of me. But when we lost, and then looking up in the rafters and seeing 2 levels of people from my hometown that I grew up with that taught me basketball and how each person affected my life. From my neighbors, the Horkins being there, to the little kids I'd never met who were like, I want to be like you. Or to even just the band being there and how much that meant to me, and just how high school basketball is so much more than just basketball, just like Division III, how it's a community of people. And just there's so many stories I can tell of how thankful I am to have such a great coaching staff and people. But just, God, I can just sit there. I can feel it. I can feel their hands on my shoulders. I can feel, and
No, I have a similar story to that. Not to drag this on, but my senior year, we were 1 and or two.
Is this a buzzer beater?
Like,
Is this a buzzer beater?
2-10 in conference. Headed into my senior, or it was not my senior night. Week after senior night. Going to our rival school, it's got to be 3,000 people in the stadium, jam packed. Or what? 2-11, 2-10, whatever. Record aside, we play our rival on their senior night. They are what? Whatever. They're on the verge of making the playoffs. If we beat them, they obviously don't get in. We beat them. I remember the same kind of you. You just feel the crowd. You feel the energy around you. I remember 10 seconds left. They inbound the ball. I'm hands on knees, just crying, not sure if this is going to be my last game or not. Running up to my parents after the last whistle blows and just giving them a hug, thanking them for everything, and just appreciating. I think one of the biggest thing I take away from basketball and the sport in general is, like we keep saying, the relationships not only you build on the floor but off the floor. I think it's much greater, and it just obviously we're athletes at the end of the day, but we're people first. So I think through this podcast we'll be able to kind of share that. Like obviously athletics revolves mostly what we want to do, our jobs and our livelihood and stuff, but at the end of the day, it just teaches you so much more outside the sport. So,
and there's something to be said, and I think as a high school, I didn't appreciate it. It's the community, even at the Division III level, being grateful for where you're at, even as minuscule it is the people that put in the work into you, like what is it, the stake that they bought into you for you to get there, and just that moment and just enjoying it. I think I dreaded a lot of high school basketball because I was so infatuated with my points. And I wasn't just concentrated on how many great people were around me, doing great things for me, setting screens for me, how many great coaches were in my life. And just that's something I want to make sure we instill is even like, Coach Bloom, our assistant, I saw him the other day coaching and just how grateful I was for him. Or Coach Denny Morris, who came to all my games. And there was one game after I was sick and I was like 20 pounds lighter and he came up and he hugged me and said, "Great game, JT." And just how much that moment you got to learn to appreciate and learn to live in. And I'm just trying to, we're trying to be teachers as well. Not only anymore, we're trying to teach the younger generation to be like, this shit is cool. And it's, you're not going to be D1. You might not get the mixtapes, but you're still doing something important. You're still doing something that people remember.
Exactly. You couldn't have said it any better. Literally just live in it. Appreciate where you're at. Take it day by day. And through this podcast and hopefully through the guest we get on this thing, we'll be able to kind of show you not how to do it, but kind of share like what we think and what we may believe to be the best way to do it, I guess you can say.
I think there's only one way to do it. Playing basketball, our head coach always says that the basketball gods. I truly believe in a basketball god who appreciates playing basketball the right way. I really do. I'm going to try and get that message through. I don't know about you. I'm feeling excited for our first guest, man. This has been exciting.
I'm ready. We'll be firing off probably, hopefully, an episode a week, too. So yeah. We'll be getting them up. And we'll be touching on a bunch of different subjects, obviously, depending on who our guest is and what sport it is. But I'm just excited to hear different people's experiences compared to ours, knowing that there's so many different players around the world. And like we've been saying, the games just bring so many people together. So I'm just excited to share other people's stories and continue sharing mine. So.
And we'll see some people who have different experiences, negative experiences potentially, and what they take away from it. Not just us, brown nose and everything, and get a little more honest, kind of like all the smoke, being a little honest with each other.
Yeah. We didn't want to scare you guys off the first episode, but there's negative to it. We're not saying that it's all flowers and it's all easy, but it's hard. It's hard. Mm-hmm. We'll reiterate it, but it's hard.
All right, Coach JT's got to keep watching film. Coach Dillo, or Mr. Dillo, Mr. Media Man, any final words?
Nothing. I'm excited for you guys to continue to tune in and watch us as we get along this journey. But JT, it was a pleasure and an honor, as always, and excited for next week.